Hello, people of YouTube. It is yours truly, Peyton Sabo, back again in my workshop in our, as you would call it, our cellar in context of this video. I guess I could say I'm back. As of lately, I've been kind of away from doing prop making and cosplay stuff because I've been wanting to finish school. I have graduated now, so I am basically off the hook. Now I'm on the road to community college. But it's summertime now, so it's a good season for prop making, and I do have something very interesting here today. First off, I am wearing my Brett Scrooby Chainsaws t-shirt that I got in Chicago Flashback Weekend of 2021 when I met Brett. I know damn fucking well he's watching this video, so this is for you, man. This is for you, Al, Ryan, everybody. This is a tribute video, basically. But I do have something very special to show today. Before I show it off, I do want to give some background and context for this piece and why it's special to me and why I like it and why I was very excited and happy to redo it. So way back in, I think it was 2017 when I first started doing prop making, which I started off with very basic stuff, Evil Dead chainsaws, stuff like that. There was a point in time where I had a Evil Dead collection that was all stuff that I made. Not very well done, but that's because I was learning and I was young. One of the few things that I had was a Necronomicon, and it was a completely random book that I found in the house. It was an old random book nobody was reading anymore, and at that time, not having accurate pages or Necronomicon pages in the book to begin with wasn't really a big deal to me. So I took the book, I used basically what I call the hot glue method, or that's what everybody usually refers to it as, the hot glue method, where you make all the veins and you basically sculpt the eyes, the nose, the mouth, all out of hot glue. And then you paint it over. That's basically what I did, but I kind of went for a more Evil Dead 2 kind of look. And it didn't exactly come out great. It looks like a Necronomicon. It looked like a Necronomicon, at least. It looked pleasing. It looked cartooning. Cartoony. It looked cartoony, but it really wasn't perfect. But as of back then, it was satisfactory. Literally, I want to say it was 3 or 4 days ago. About a week ago, I gave my brother that book because my brother's a prop maker. You can see this is our shop. He's working on his Halloween 2 mask right there. That's the Trick or Treat Studios Halloween 2 version 2, which is a reworked sculpt. He's working on it. He's doing a really good job. He's only 13. He's learning quick, and it's fun. But I gave my little brother that book, that same book that I made, because I didn't really want it anymore. Because I have 2 Necronomicons right now. I have an Ash vs. Evil Dead prop book, which is the same deal. It does not have accurate pages. It does have pages, though, and it's just like a prop book. So you can look at it and you can think, oh, that's the Necronomicon. And then I have an Evil Dead 2 cover. It doesn't have pages in it. It's actually from the Anthology DVD set. I seam rip the pages out. I got to get Plastidip so I can spray it down and kind of expand its lifespan a little longer. But I had that book and I gave it to him, and then the cogwheels in my head started turning, and I thought the dimensions of that book are small. It's small. It's a small book. So I went up to my brother and I said, "What if you're willing to let me do it? What if I take the book, strip it down, like down back to the bare cover, and redo it to look better?" And he didn't even hesitate. He was like, "Go right ahead, it's your book, you made it." So I took that book and I stripped it down. I stripped it down within I think it was like half an hour. It destroyed my thumbnail because I used that for leverage. Like I scraped the shit out of that thing. But I did that, and then along with some reference help from Brett John, aka Brett Scrooby Chainsaws, my homie. Thanks to some references from his Evil Dead 1 cover that he sculpted and casted, I think it was earlier this year, I was able to come up with this. So this is basically my own take and replica on the Evil Dead 1 book, which is not done very often. Usually whenever you hear Necronomicon, you think of either Evil Dead 2 or Ash vs. Evil Dead. Some people think of, Army of Darkness and the remake and Evil Dead Rise. This is basically my take on the book. It's very, like I said, it's random pages. It's a random book completely. There's some extra blood there from when I first did the book back in like 2017. But this is basically my take on it. When I got down to the bare cover, I basically sketched out. I have my own process on how I do it. Like, I don't just like eyeball it and like, oh, okay, this has got to go here, this has got to go there, and just go along with it. No, I actually take a marker and I sketch out the shapes and locations for the different features, as in terms of like the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And I also do it for the veins as well. Like, some of these veins are carried over from Brett's sculpt, or more so the movie book. So like this vein right here that goes all the way down and across and kind of comes down and along the eye and kind of goes back in, that's from the real one. Some of these blobs are loosely based off of some of the details in the real book. But I basically started making rings of hot glue. I made like little lips for the eyes and the mouth. And as I went along with it, I kind of took note of how deep certain holes should be. So like the mouth is much deeper than the eyes. Like the eyes are slightly more shallow than the mouth, at least what I noticed. So I did that. But by the time I did all the main veins on the front and back, I did do the back as well. The back is just kind of random. I did my best to kind of make it look somewhat proper. That crater right there, that is on Brett's sculpt and the movie book, as of what I've heard. But once I did all the basic vein work, I ended up taking the hot glue gun. I use like the extra long hot glue sticks, these ones. These are very handy if you work with hot glue a lot. I think these are just like called like extra long hot glue sticks. I don't exactly remember. I used like 2 or 3 of those for this one book. But once I did that, I ended up taking the hot glue gun and I kind of just pressed it against the bare cover, because there was a bunch of patches with the bare cover still showing through. And I just kind of smeared it and smudged it all in those little crevices. So now it has like this, like you can see in there, it looks like the basis is a fleshy kind of skin type texture, which I really like. The spine came out really cool too. Like I really like all those wrinkles. You can kind of see some of the veins that go along there and carry over to the back. When it came to painting this, Brett has his own paint scheme and paint process for painting these books. I did my own little process and paint scheme with it. I took this and I actually masked off the pages just so they wouldn't get any paint on them, because they are actually already kind of aged, as you can see from the previous concept, I guess you would say. I ended up spraying it down with like it's like an off-white cream kind of color. It's like an almond kind of. It's what I use for my pre-Uber Jason hockey masks. I sprayed it down with that as a heavy base coat, and then I went in with I want to say it was like a rusty brown, but not as red. I took like a rusty brown and I dusted it all over. I didn't spray it, I dusted it over. If you look close enough, you can see the color kind of showing through, especially down here. You can kind of see, I'm not entirely sure if the camera will focus and make it out, but you can kind of see some of the almond color showing through. and some of those wrinkles, which is kind of nice. It adds a little bit of extra depth. But I sprayed that all over, and then from then on, it was just black. It was just a bunch of black detailing. The whole thing got like a passing of black dusting, as you can see over all the highlights on the veins and skin wrinkles. Obviously, the eyes got their own little treatment of black, and this one is kind of drooping off into the spine, so it does have a little bit more shading on the spine as well. I did mix up a very pale pink for the inside of the mouth, because that is on the real one, and that is something that Brett uncovered when he did his replica of it. So Brett, thank you for that that key detail. And then of course I got a bunch of black in the mouth, because that is also correct to the real one. I haven't talked about it that much, but I really, the nose on this thing is very, very interesting. It's if you're an Evil Dead fan and you're big on Necronomicons, you're probably used to the book not even having a nose, because in, I think, Evil Dead 2 and Ash vs. Evil Dead, it doesn't have a nose. It's just like cartilage. Like, there's no nose at all. This one has a nose, and in the movie, I think it's like kind of like squished in, like to the side, kind of. Which I tried to replicate, and I think it came out really good. Once again, this is just hot glue, like layering. Like, I do like a base, like oval. Like, I do like a base puddle that's like in the shape of an oval, and I do another oval that's in a slightly different shape and size and angle, and I just build off of that, and it creates this little 3D kind of smushed nose, which I really like. And I also did the nostrils. These were just like little jelly bean shapes that I filled in. This little streak going down the nose, that is on the real one, along with this little other streak, I guess you'd say. But that's basically how I did it, and I knocked this out within, like, if you total up the time, about 1 day it took me to make this. It was really like a fun little midweek project, just for the hell of it, because I felt like it. I spent one evening stripping it down and then doing all the hot glue. I did the entire cover within one evening, and then the next day was just painting the thing, and I had it done by like the afternoon. So it was a very fun project, and if anybody is out there who has a desire to make a Necronomicon, if you have a spare book and a bunch of hot glue sticks, try this method out. It's fun and it works. Just make sure you have the right references. Make sure you sketch out your basis and you know what you're doing and what has to go where. And if you play your cards right, you can get something that looks like this. And I think this looks really good. And I didn't really have the intention of posting about this thing when I originally made it, because, you know, it's a hot glue Necronomicon. Like, I don't really try to ham up my projects that much, being like, oh, this is my Evil Dead 1 Necronomicon. Like, this, it's a book with hot glue and spray paint. Like, I really try not to ham it up that much. But, when I did post it on my account on Facebook, a lot of people really liked it. And my buddy Al Biardi, I hope I pronounced the last name right, I think I did, he said, dude, that thing is awesome, you gotta do a YouTube video on that. And I was like, you know what, I was kind of thinking that. So I did it. I did it, and I'm very proud of this. I think it came out really cool. I do want, once again, I want to thank Brett for coming through in the community with his sculpt. It was very helpful with this project. So that is basically my Evil Dead 1, or Evil Dead 1981, whatever the hell you want to call it, Necronomicon. Or, sorry, not Necronomicon, the Naturom Demonto. I'll be sure to specify that in the title for this video. But that's my book. And let's see, I'm gonna try to keep it propped up over here so you can kind of keep looking at him so he looks pretty. if I can get my hands on a good base for one, I am absolutely going to use that same technique and make a Army of Darkness book. Because I am working on my own Army of Darkness Ash right now, the medieval or the hero Ash. I just got the cape and the brooch today, and it was a motherfucker because I had to modify the brooch, and it was just a mess. It was a cheap brooch, but I made it work, and I feel okay with it. But if I can get a good base for an AOD book, I will absolutely make one with the same techniques. I think it will be pretty simple because it is a very kind of flushed out book, but there is some good detail in there, and I have some good references for it. So if I can get a base, you can bet your ass I'm going to be doing that. And my little brother is thinking about making an Evil Dead Rise book, and inspiration came from Paris Michael Voorhees. I believe I pronounced his full name or title correctly. I believe his username online is Ash vs Evil Dead DIY cosplayer or something like that. Something along those lines. Paris. We refer to him as Paris. Paris made his own Evil Dead Rise book, and it looks really good. I think it's probably the first replica anybody has ever made of the Evil Dead Rise book, and he set the bar up high. Like, he did a fucking great job with that book. And his inspiration is kind of coming through to us, so we're gonna, I guess at some point we'll try to make one. We're not gonna go one for one and like try to top his work. We want an Evil Dead Rise book. So at some point, AOD book. At some point, Evil Dead Rise book. And as I mentioned way earlier, I do have an Evil Dead 2 book that I'm trying to work on. Once again, I gotta get Plastidip. That's the one thing I gotta do. That's basically all I've got for this book. So I want to say everybody who has seen the book on my Facebook, thank you very much for the kind words and the great feedback on it. I was really not expecting for it to come out as good as it did. It's a piece that's really not made that often by people, and I think it was worth the time and effort. So thank you to everybody who gave all the great feedback on that. Thank you to the people who actually reached out to me and said, dude, you gotta like post this shit more, because there was a good handful of people who did that, and I want to thank you as well. And with that being said, I think that's all I've got for this video. So thank you for watching. I'm going to try to do more YouTube videos over the summer because I do have some really exciting things coming up. I have some exciting stuff coming up that I would like to potentially document and post. So you can expect some more content over the next couple months. So thank you for watching, and that was a bad finger snap. Be cool.